Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I got a couple problems, okay? Now, I'm happy the Eagles won on Monday night. I'm very happy about it. The defense was dominating. The offense did enough to win, and I think you had a nice balance on both sides. I think we were fine. Now, there are problems, not major problems. There are fixable things when it comes to this offense, this defense. I have no issue with that. But when it comes down to certain little things that I don't know why they're not using certain players or specific players that really should be playing more or other things, I think that's really important. Now, I don't want to discuss everything in this video. I want to kind of split up the next couple days because I feel like I could talk about this for probably 2 hours, so I won't make this video too long for everybody. So sit back, enjoy, and let's really try to figure this out.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So the first question that I have right now going into, you have to see, like, is this going to stay like this forever when it comes to the run game with Rashad Penny not even getting a snap with a running back already out in Boston Scott that had the concussion? Okay, he had 3 snaps last week against the Vikings because DeAndre Swift was just getting really tired, and then, that's when Boston Scott ended up getting the concussion last week, and Gainwell wasn't even playing last week. They were able to use Swift a lot last week because he barely played the first game. He had 1 rushing attempt, and that was it. But Rashad Penny's the big question here. We signed Rashad Penny. That was our first running back signing before we went into the draft and went to go sign DeAndre Swift on the 3rd day of the draft for a 7th round, whatever it was, a pick that meant absolutely nothing. A 25 4th round pick or whatever it was, that meant nothing. So, or a 5th, I don't even remember. But Rashad Penny in general is an interesting thing here because I feel like, there's 2 questions. There's 2 things that bother me out of this. Number 1, they're not playing Rashad Penny enough. Number 2, the usage of your running backs in certain situations that makes absolutely no sense. You go into your first drive of your offense, you give a couple passes to A.J. Brown. You run a nice screen pass to DeAndre Swift, a couple runs there with him. And then when it was crucial the most, okay, you're up at a 4th and 2, and you switch running backs. I mean, you literally take Swift out, and you put Gainwell. You put a fresh back in there. Why you wouldn't keep DeAndre Swift in the game kind of made no sense to me. If you look at the carries for the Tampa Bay game on Monday night, I think Swift had, 17, 18 carries. Gainwell had 15 carries. So, I mean, it was pretty close in distribution. I'm not really going crazy about that too much. But, yeah, Swift did have 16, and Gainwell had 14 for this game. 130 yards to Gainwell's 43. Huge difference, okay? We all know that DeAndre Swift is the better talent. I know they have to use a rotation, but this is like the beginning of the game. Like, this is like the first series for the offense. Can't put points on the board because you get a 4th and 2. Swift goes to the sideline. Gainwell comes in, and I don't get the usage there. And then if the Eagles are struggling in red zone as it is right now, why aren't they using Rashad Penny for red zone? Why? I mean, there's like fans already off the bandwagon for Rashad Penny saying he's slow, and I think DeAndre Swift is making everybody else look slow because we actually have a running back 1, and yes, I know it's a rotation, but we actually have a back that could take a lot of snaps. I don't want to give DeAndre Swift over 20 snaps a game. I think he had a lot today, but, it doesn't look like it affected him too much. But you have a long season ahead of you, and you need this rotation because ever since, all game people are like, oh, why isn't Swift in? Why isn't Swift in? Why? The whole game. We can't use Swift the whole entire game. You can, but, these running backs have so much shelf life, and then by the time his body is worn out, an injury is going to occur, and everyone's going to be pissed off and, oh, why did he get injured? Then you're going to wonder why he got injured. So I feel like when it comes to usage of running backs on specific plays, because red zone, I thought we were horrible. I don't think we were good at all. We looked bad. I don't want the tush push to be the only thing that gets us into the end zone. I don't think that's fair. Rashad Penny literally had a press conference here before, free agency, at free agency was like, I'm excited. I want to sign here. I can't wait to run behind this line. And he's not getting any bit of courage that he's going to get playing time. You were down a running back in Boston Scott, and you're still not using him. If it was me in the red zone, I'm running. I am running. I don't care what side it is. I am running with Rashad Penny or whoever, just in general. These are two problems that we have. Usage and obviously not using Rashad Penny enough. Because putting Kenneth Gainwell in there on a 4th and 2, that literally Swift was on fire that drive. He was perfectly fine. And then you take him out and put a fresh back in there. Because at the end of the day, we know that Swift has better explosion than Kenneth Gainwell. He's just a better back. He's just an overall better back. And people are like, I'm hating on Gainwell. I'm not hating on him. But for that moment at 4th and 2, I can't put a fresh back in there that is less of the running back we have on the field right now. And that really annoyed me in that game. Resulted in 0 points. 0 points on a 4th and 2. The 4th and 2 should almost be automatic, okay, for the Eagles. Whether it's a tush push, whether it's... And trust me, the tush push can only get you so far because at the end of the day, what if this rule is gone by next year? Then the Eagles have to figure out what they have to do here. And my answer to this is run the damn ball in the red zone and keep the running back. Remember, Nick was saying all week, keep the hot hand in. Well, apparently not, because you switched running backs for the most important part of the drive, which is 4th and 2. And if you're going for it and you're not punting it and you're not in field goal range, use the same back. Use the best back you have, or use a bigger back in Rashad Penny if that's what you want to do. I think if Swift was in, he would have got that first down. I know I'm nitpicking. People are going to make a big deal about it. But, guys, later in the season, this is going to matter even more. To get first seed, to get into the playoffs, this is going to matter. Okay, and I think it's getting tiring because, look, I'm glad that the Eagles are running the football a lot. Okay, last time we faced Tampa Bay in 21 in the wild card, I think we only ran the ball like 7 times. It wasn't much. We ran the ball very little in that game. I think this running back core, if you can exploit everybody and let everybody open their wings and fly in this offense, let everybody. It's already enough we don't even have the running backs in the passing game right now. But please, out of everything you have right now, use what you have at your disposal. Gainwell is a good rotational guy, but when it comes to those 4th and 2s, I know for a fact, okay, we would have had that first down with DeAndre Swift. I know for a fact if we ran the ball in the red zone, okay, when we're inside the 5, inside the 10, I know we're getting those yards with all of these backs. Okay, I think, like I said, I don't really care who you use, but I would really, in the red zone, I'd rather use a bigger back and a more explosive back. I think Gainwell is good for your second half, which they did use him. I had an issue with the way they had DeAndre. They cut DeAndre Swift after that play. They cut DeAndre Swift out a few series and put Gainwell in, and then Swift came back. So I guess they were just trying to split up. I guess you don't want to put too much on his plate. I understand that. I get it. But Rashad Penny having 0 carries, like why? Why put too much pressure on Gainwell and too much pressure on Swift on a Monday night game against Tampa Bay with Boston Scott already being out? Do they dislike Rashad Penny? Did he get in trouble for something? Is he fined by the NFL? Did he do something wrong? I don't know what's going on. I don't. Rashad Penny only played 5 games last year. How are we going to count on Rashad Penny if he's getting no snaps? Just because you don't use a running back for a long time doesn't mean he's going to play good later on. He needs to get snaps, guys. He's got to get rolling and get used to running behind this line. And you know what I mean? Like, you can't just sit out. And then what happens if somebody gets hurt and Rashad Penny has to play more? You're better hoping later on during the season that he's going to play a lot better than now. But so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. That's definitely going to be one question that's going to annoy me going into next week. And I mean, they're already not. He's got 3 rushing attempts for the season. That is it. And the second half, I actually thought Rashad Penny was in because I only saw the side view of the running back that was in the backfield, and I saw that Swift didn't have his visor on, so he must have took it off because of the rain, or I don't know. So I thought Rashad Penny actually got in the game later, but he didn't. So I don't know what you guys think about it, but I feel like they need to do more. Obviously, red zone is definitely a big one. They can't make, they can't rely on the pass so much in red zone. You have you have a galleon of backs, and you have to exploit that and use them. And don't put too much pressure on just two guys. You could do well with like I said, I know 4 guys is a lot. I know 4 running backs is a lot of running backs, but I know that Penny could bring something to the table here. He could run between the tackles well. If he gets to the second level, I want to see what he could do. People saying he's slow and he's this, he's that. He's got 3 snaps with his offense. We can't define a player off of 3 snaps and only playing 5 games last year. He hasn't really had the chance. So that's all I got to talk about with that. Secondly, Sidney Brown. Okay, Sidney Brown needs more playing time. I'm sorry. They tried. I know they ruled Goodrich out, not because of injury. They put him back on practice squad. They didn't dress him. They brought Eli Ricks up to the active roster. They tried putting Bradbury inside. It didn't work. It just didn't work. They were targeting Job's side every single time, and it was haunting us a little bit. Okay, so they switched that. They put Bradbury back to the outside. They brought Sidney Brown in. Sidney Brown did leave the game with a thigh injury, so hopefully he's okay by next week. And I know that they lost Justin Evans with a neck injury or something at safety as well. So right now you have 2 safeties that are hurt, and your only safeties left are Reed Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds. Sidney Brown can cover. Sidney Brown plays tough. That's what I like about him. Okay, that pass to Mike Evans would have been a touchdown. If he didn't go in there and put his hand in there last second, and that's the perfect picture right there. I didn't think I was going to find one that clear. And wow, it looks great. I mean, he literally got there last second. Like I'm saying, he dived for his life. Like he was sacrificing himself to make sure the world was not going to end on Mike Evans catching that. Okay. Mike Evans only had 12 yards in the first half. Obviously, he was cooking a little bit more when we were being more conservative with our defense in the second half. But Sidney Brown can, Sidney Brown could become, and I've said this in other videos, okay, Sidney Brown has played nickel before. Okay, Sidney Brown played 176, 177 snaps at Illinois. I think he was top 4 or 5 in his conference in deflections at the nickel spot. Okay, he could play the position. Just give him the chance. I know there's been rumors of the trade deadline and getting, maybe a hybrid type safety / corner or something like that. I feel like they could make a move if they want. I don't think they really have to here. I feel like, Justin Evans can get better. I thought he played okay during that Vikings game, but obviously there was some blown opportunities, some blown assignments like at safety. I know you had Reed Blankenship out. You had 3 starters out in that game, defensively, so you're going to have a little bit of trouble. Reed Blankenship coming back was a huge part of this game, obviously, but Sidney Brown, I think, needs to know both positions full time. I think that's the most important thing. See how his health is this week, but they got to figure this out. Every week they got to figure it out because, I don't know, Josh Jobe did good against Addison, but then really started to struggle. Godwin, he was struggling. He was really struggling in this game. They were targeting him a lot. Sidney Brown is going to play a lot tougher. He doesn't give up on a play. And if he gets beat on a play and something happens, he's going to put his head down and go to work on the next play. That's how he is. He doesn't quit. He's got no quit in him. He lost separation. Mike Evans got separation on Sidney Brown pretty damn easily on this play. And then Sidney Brown used his speed and died for his arms pretty much to slap that ball out, and he did. He can cover an area so quick. He's quick. He's non-hesitant. That's what I like about him so much. And he's a hard hitter too because he plays very good on special teams. He's got a lot of value there. So liking the play from Sidney Brown, and I think that's the move you have to go. I'm gonna put Josh Jobe back to the practice squad. I'm not gonna activate him. Maybe I'll activate Ricks. Maybe they'll activate Jobe and then put Ricks to practice squad. I don't know, because Ricks is not gonna be playing anytime soon this year. Probably not. Mostly just special teams. But when it comes down to it, guys, I think Sidney Brown is going to be the right person to be that hybrid player for us because they have to develop somebody that has played both positions in college. And I think this is the perfect player to do it with, since he did it at Illinois at both spots. So Eagles, go get it done and let this guy, because really at the end, you got to figure this out, because injuries do happen at this position. Avonte Max was hurt twice this year, twice last year, season-ending injury this year with a pectoral and had surgery. You don't have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the building anymore. You don't have that hybrid player that could just move down to that position like it's nothing. You got to develop somebody, and your third-round pick and Sidney Brown needs to be developed into this. And I think this is the move that I think this is what's going to happen throughout the rest of the season. And then if you could sacrifice Sidney Brown moving inside, then that's great. Keep Justin Evans, whatever. Keep him at safety, because then both of them got hurt after this game. So, and Terrell Edmunds isn't horrible, but not my favorite safety to pair. But obviously Reed Blankenship is good. So Terrell Edmunds, if the defense gets pressure, I mean, good plays are coming our way. So that's the whole thing on Sidney Brown, which I hope you guys do agree with, because I felt like he played very well, and both safeties left with injuries. Hopefully not too serious. Hopefully they could play for our first divisional game against Washington next week. And lastly, going over Amari Zacchaeus, okay, I did not expect that they were going to get a wide receiver 3 involved. I saw they got Dallas Goedert involved a little bit throughout the game, Jack Stahl. It looked really good. And then we had like the third, I think it was the 3rd and 13, I think. And Hurts was very patient on 2 throws, one to Amari Zacchaeus. I know I'm saying his name wrong. I always say, sometimes I say it right. Sometimes I just say it wrong. Threw it to Zacchaeus on the left sideline and got the big first down. And then I think the play right before, I did the play right after that, or a couple plays after that, on the touchdown to Zacchaeus in the end zone, Hurts being so patient. By the time he threw that ball, because he was about to get hit, there was nobody open at that point when he threw the ball, but said, you know what, I'm going to throw it towards that way, because Zacchaeus is kind of going in that direction. Zacchaeus got the separation. The ball almost got tipped by a defender's hand by like an inch. The ball came down at the right moment. Zacchaeus concentrated, caught the ball, and went in for the touchdown. Now, where does this leave Quez Watkins going forward? I honestly don't know. I'm not really disappointed in Quez. It's just what it is. Injuries, we can't control them. They can't control injuries. They just happened. But is Zacchaeus the better option at wide receiver 3? I guess we're just going to have to find out, because I think Zacchaeus is better for the slot because he is a pure slot. He has played pure slot receiver. Quez Watkins, I think a lot of fans think that he's a better outside guy than really an inside guy moving forward. But with Zacchaeus, I think you can get a guy, like I said, Zacchaeus is, and I can't make it unfair to Quez Watkins, because we've seen Quez in 2 games and he has like a catch, 2 I don't even know if he even has 2 catches right now. Remember Amari Zacchaeus, okay? Zacchaeus last year for the Falcons had over 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a really crappy offense. He had his best year last year with the Falcons, and they were crappy. They were not good, and Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. I think we found out what Marcus Mariota is all about this past offseason. So this is going to be interesting going forward. I know that Quez is dealing with a hamstring. There's really nothing you can do for hamstring except wait and see what happens. He might not be ready for next week. This is kind of a short week, because Monday, the Eagles didn't play on Sunday. They played on Monday, so they're like a day short of going into the next game going forward, so a little bit less rest than the other team. But with Zacchaeus, I don't know. I mean, I'd keep him in. Honestly, at this point, if Quez isn't 100%, if he's hurt for like another game, I'm keeping Zacchaeus in until like Quez maybe starts to get healthy and he could fully come back, and to see if he's a better option. I don't want to put a guy at the slot if he's not the better option here. The one thing I could say about Zacchaeus, or a couple things, is that his value, okay, is being a pure slot, and not even just that, but I think his value comes from his blocking. He does a lot of the dirty work. Watch that Tampa Bay game. He was in there making some really good blocks, doing a really good job. Obviously, a big run game from DeAndre Swift and these other running backs, and he did a very good job setting the, just setting these blocks up, and I think you're getting good value out of him that way. And we'll see what happens down the road. But like I said, the difference between Quez and there's no difference. And I think Quez is a little bit taller than him, but not by much. I think they weigh the same. That their bodies are exactly the same. I just think that Zacchaeus just has more burner speed. I know Quez has it too, but you're dealing with a pure slot guy in Zacchaeus that has been just a pure slot mostly since he's been in the league, and that's a good thing. So I'm wondering if, maybe Quez is going to take a back seat to Zacchaeus going into the Washington game next week, which is going to be really important, but very surprised because when you don't see things normally happen all the time, because it was already enough we weren't targeting tight ends, and we've been doing it. Like, this game was the most game we've targeted tight ends with Dallas Goedert and Jack Stahl. And then getting the wide receiver threes involved, I think, was one thing we didn't get involved with last year. Later in the year, they were, especially in the Super Bowl, the wide receiver three and running back positions were two positions that were a huge weakness in that game. I understand it was mostly a passing game, but, can you rely on Zacchaeus to get the big catch, to have that concentration to get the big catch? We threw to Quez Watkins in that Super Bowl and went right through his hands on one of the most important catches. That would have been one of the biggest plays of the game, what would have resulted in some points, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So interesting to see what they do at the wide receiver three position between Quez and Zacchaeus, because Zacchaeus is already showing out. So just because Quez is coming back or is close to being healthy, does Quez earn his spot back, or do the Eagles do the right, or do you think it's the wrong thing to keep Zacchaeus as the starter? You guys let me know. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We talked about a running back usage between, why is Rashad Penny not playing, what they need to do, and to do better in red zone, because I think that's really important. Don't want to make things harder when you get to the red zone. You really don't. We talked about Sidney Brown and why he really should start at nickel, and I think he should be our first. We should be cross-training him as a hybrid player for the rest of his career here. That's what he should be doing. And obviously, Zacchaeus, Watkins, what do you do going into next week if Watkins is healthy? Do you give the job to Watkins, or do you, are you still roll with Zacchaeus? I think you roll with the guy that's playing well. And unfortunately, we just haven't seen much from Watkins. Can you blame Jalen Hurts for that, or the play calling? That's Brian Johnson's not giving them enough opportunity. Wide receiver three is an interesting position because I don't like the position myself, because I feel like you're not the first option, you're not the second option, you're the third option. But at the same time, you have to be prepared. You have to be ready when your number is called, and when you're out there, don't run lazy routes. Like, your number can be called in a game where Hurts is looking through his progressions, nobody open, and you get an opportunity like that in a game on Monday night where Zacchaeus just gets us a nice touchdown and a really good catch on the sideline, which I thought it was really good. Got open a couple times there. So glad he was in there. If you last this long in this video, and yes, this was still a long video. I don't know. I knew if I talked about more stuff, it would have been done. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well for more Eagles content. Appreciate all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the live play-by-play reaction of the Tampa Bay game. We are 3-0. We're ready to go. Enjoy your work week and relax. Live life and do your thing. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow. So peace out, guys. Peace.